Back at it again, me and my friends. This is a special night for me. I'll tell you why in a second, man. I got my guy, Juan Crawford, man. Got Juan Crawford, he's gonna join us in a minute or two. And I see that trainer Tedston Holder has just joined as well. So we're gonna put them on in a second. All right, I ain't gonna delay this no more. I'll bring my man Juan Crawford back here and let's talk. Let's chop it up. All right, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Juan,
We there.
welcome to this special edition of Pop Up, man.
Yeah, blessings, Yeah, it's a blessing.
Listen, it's been a minute, and we did some work behind the scenes, and I think it's gonna come to the forefront pretty soon. People are gonna see who this man is. Tedston Holder, hold on a second, brother. I'll get you in a minute or two. So I'll let you get set up, queued up, and when you're ready, just give me the cue that you're ready to bounce in. Give me the thumbs up.
Mr.
All
Derek.
right? Yes, sir.
Yeah. Juan Crawford here. You don't know it's a blessing. And as Ross, we get behind nothing. So I was waiting in front of the scenes. Well, maybe others was waiting behind. But I don't be behind nothing as Ross.
Correct. Got you. Hold on 1 minute. Let me introduce the other guests. Both of you actually. First, let me say this. Juan Crawford, this is your best year ever, man. And
Woodbine?
At Woodbine.
At Woodbine.
Hold on. Let's not talk yet.
Yeah,
and this other guy,
patient.
He's had his best year too as a trainer. So let me just pop him in. Come on in here. Tedston Holder.
Good evening, everyone.
Welcome to this special edition, man.
But he portrayed. What is that? A Barbados flag in the background down there? wait. You see that horse that ran up there? That what he do want to put me on?
No, Dan Diego's fire.
No, but that one that ran up.
Dan Diego's fire.
No, but the best horse she ever put me on was Walk Up Queen.
Oh, she over there. She up in the shitty head.
But she behind you. Let she be your evidence because me tired. You know that's the one that we do real damage with both there.
Yes, she was the queen.
Yes.
She was the
queen. Like crop over.
Fellas, first of all, Ted, welcome, man. How you doing?
Doing well, thank you. How about you guys?
Good. And Juan,
I'm here.
Are you enjoying this break, man?
I'm satisfied still. You know what I mean? Like, body need rest, but we mentally we always on the move. Ted can tell you that.
Always thinking about the next thing, right?
Yeah, we be on the next mission.
So Ted, what mission are you on?
Go. Closing up shop in Canada and headed down to Florida shortly. Horses are already there. Just waiting for me.
So you're getting ready to start a fresh start down in Florida, and one is just kind of resting the bumps and bruises and getting ready for the next season, I imagine. One, what are you gonna do with this break that you got, man?
Well, the break for me is not really a break. It's just recovering lost time. Because I got to deal with the family, the children in school, which is almost over. You know what I mean? The little ones are almost finished with the school, so opportunities to cross the border. I always down for that, and the wife was pushing me more the last few years. Like, shucks, don't just stall up here. You know what I mean? Like, you got the energy, just utilize it in the winter. It's not like you're going to Barbados. Well, I don't mind going to Barbados, but when I go to Barbados, that means my mission is close to completion on this side of the fence. You know what I mean? Because you know the one old saying, Mr. Holder will tell you, the grass seems green on the other side of the fence. It's not.
Well, I tell you what, man. I see where you're from.
When one door closes, the other one open. Always remember that.
Yeah, every time.
And both of you guys are from St. Philip.
Oh,
yes.
my fellow Philippine guy.
Oh yes.
He's a yeah, but he from up on the opposite side of the hill, right? Meaning that I on the valley side.
On Church Village side, brother.
Yeah, I know. I know you're on the church village side. Up on the you from one ghetto with Bounty and everything. I
Easy
from
now.
the other ghetto over here. I guess my ghetto almost like blanket the place. You know what I mean? So we all was forget
Well,
the badness, the goodness. We indulging. So that was the horses of it. He indulged in the horses and not the gangster life. I indulged in the horses and forget the gangster life. That four-legger, it still got him hooked. You know what I mean? It still got him trapped. It got me in the same dimension. We love those four-leggers.
let's talk about those four-legged creatures, and let's talk some more about racing Woodbine during 2022. Let's talk about your year. You've had one of the most successful years for you personally. I just look at the stats. You can tell me which year was better for you, one. But for me, looking at the stats, it shows that this year has been your best year so far.
Yeah,
Can you tell
but
me a little bit about what made that year?
well, that year was inevitable. You know what I mean? Mr. Holder. I watched him and I realized, shucks, Mr. Holder, you had a great year also, you know what I mean? I saw him like turning up some action. And I was like, shucks, Mr. Holder is clocking. I didn't get to be one for him. Not one. Yeah. Come on, Mr. Holder. I'm here. And it's not like we don't have past history of goodness, you know, but this year for me personally, it was a good year. Um I settled with the mindset of 50 wins minimum this year. No, I didn't reach my target of the 50 wins. So that was the default of it, that I didn't reach my minimum.
What was that target? How many did you get this year? New wins.
Well, I end up with 46, 47. No, 46. I think Equibias would have given me 46 to 47, which was still less than 50.
Well, I think when I checked, you had 48, my friend.
Well, still less than 50. If it was 49, it's less than 50. I gave myself a budget of 50 wins. I didn't reach my budget. That means I was a bad prime minister.
No,
Well, I think you got
finance minister, brother. Not a prime minister. You're the bad finance minister.
No, finances. I cannot be a bad finance minister when the finances was greater than previous.
Well, let me tell you something, Juan. I think Ted Holder probably is a finance minister because he's always in the books. He's always
Yeah,
looking at the
but
numbers.
if he's in the but see would have known that it was my best year in finances and earnings,
Mm.
best ever in
Yes.
I
finances, but wasn't my best in numbers.
No.
I gotta ask you about that. How you feeling after this year? Like you got on a lot of horses this year, man.
Yeah,
I
well,
think it was
I
like
did get
481 or something like that.
yeah, it was close in the demeanor, but yet still I rode more than that before because there's several times that I rode over 500. And I think previous best year in 2014 or whatever, I must have clocked over 500 mounts. You know what I mean? And to clock over 500 mounts, and everybody was like, yeah, great year. And I was like, this is garbage. You know what I mean? Even this year, this is even like close to what my natural ability is. All
In
right,
terms of wins or in terms of getting on the horses?
overall,
Okay.
overall. Because I tell you what, for me, I didn't leave Barbados coming to Canada thinking like, oh well, yeah, well you're gonna fight and you're gonna struggle. I knew that, but I thinking, well, I can overcome these things. I got the power and ability to overcome all of the lowness of it and to reach and to achieve and knowing that the last documentary I had with BBC, I told them it doesn't matter where races are running. FDB were running races on the moon.
You'll be there.
This race going to the moon and riding races too. You know what I mean? I up for the time. You know what I mean? Up to it doesn't matter where it is because I better than that. So let me go do it.
That's right, correct.
But forget the fight and forget all of the decimal points. My career is like this year still monetary was great. The amount of wins in Woodbine, many would say was great. I said greater to come. And then for Theory, they would say, oh, it was a slouch because you be better than your performance this year for Theory.
But doesn't
You know
that?
what I
I'm gonna
mean?
ask you a question about that one. So wouldn't that like? Does it affect? Say for instance, you get a good year at Woodbine. I don't imagine that you would have a really great year at Fort Erie as well because the two kind of runs in very similar times.
Well, I tell you what.
So you got to give up one.
No, that's where the
Give it
error
up, but
came. That's where the error came because I didn't come here to give up nothing. I come here to portray skill. And Mr. Holder, coming from St. Philip, there's something in Philippines. I'm not talking about who come from Christchurch, who come from St. George, St. Lucie, St. Michael, not discriminating or downgrading. We in the biggest parish with the biggest ego. We dominating wherever we go. You give me a rat, well, if I ever get a rat race, I can beat you. And they give me a donkey, but they put me in the donkey derby. So what did I do? I win the donkey derby. You can give me a horse in a horse race, you never get me beat
correct.
because
Got
that's
you.
where we come from, right? It doesn't matter which sport it was. We always strive to be the best of what we can be, and that is something about us in St. Philip. So, on the other hand, now with the horse racing is concerned, being the best year in Woodbine, you know, what I mean, it could have been better because I should have passed my mark a few low. I ran into a few decimal points. With some would call a full stop. and the language writing, right? Oh, Juan Crawford is going great. Full stop, fine. Full stop, this. Uh, you know what I mean? That punctuation mark. Use the common Marian. You know about those things. And it's happened in text writing, but it is also happened in your everyday living. Me on the
Listen,
other hand, as not an ignorant fella, and I wouldn't even downgrade the ignorant guy. I just would be in the position to uplift him.
so one
That
before we move on, I wanna just highlight a few things about Ted as well, so we can set the scene and set the mood, because this year is Ted's probably his best year ever. Ted, correct me
yep.
if I'm wrong, but you've won like 11 races, and in terms of purse earnings, this is your best year. Am I correct, or am I not correct?
Very much so. 11 wins. I think I end up like 24% in the money. One, two, three. So I mean, it was an exceptional year to have one of every four when you go there.
Give me 2 seconds and I can join.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
that was a dream come true, and that's pretty much what every trainer look forward to, other than winning.
Hmm. So I know that, like, for example, when I speak with a lot of people around the track, a lot of people who say that Ted is a hard worker. So I know for you, you work really hard to get to that point, and since you reached it, I'm pretty sure that you're thinking next year you want to do a lot better than that as well. You want to keep this going. You want to keep this thing turning, right?
Yes, I mean, there's still a lot that's eluded me, like walking over to the stake enclosure with one of my own. That's still on my bucket list. Topping the $1 billion mark in earnings, still on my bucket list. I mean, there's a lot to go, and you can only keep reaching. The sky's the limit.
It's been a tremendous year for you. I mean, I've even been in the winner's circle with you. You invited me to the winner's circle a couple of times, and I really appreciated it. Like, to be honest, these are some of the things that people don't know about Ted Holder, and but you kind of embrace me. You kind of say, look, you got some drive. You want to do this. You want to do what you're doing, and you invited me, and I really appreciate it, man. It's been a great year. I really appreciate it, to be honest.
I mean, if someone's doing something that they love and it's not bothering anyone, embrace them. You're doing something that you love. It's gonna help others. So embrace you. Let you come out there, show what you want to do, and reach the audience you want to reach. I mean, there are a lot of Barbadians that have benefited from you coming out there. I see now that there's every day someone from around the garrison reaching out, want to come here to work. If they get in the right hands and follow the right directions, there's
No,
opportunities for it. And that's because of your platform.
correct. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. And me and Juan, we talked about some other stuff too, back in I think it was October or November, and we were talking about mentoring, and he told me that he's obviously in the past has spoken to a lot of other jocks as well, just kind of like bringing them along as well. And Juan, tell me a little bit how important that is to these jocks, and getting them on board, so they understand how this thing works.
Well, most of the writers on my behalf, they use me as a standpoint to when they on the domino, not when they're at the high, but the domino, and at the domino now, it is like they're thinking, I gotta shut down. You know what I mean? Like that negativity, their own spirit, when they know that they have the ability to be great, and to go forward and to be one of the great, they just find themselves and this mindset of things not working out. So one way or the other, we collide. and me as a positive amongst those as a negative mindset, spiritually I find a way to turn them around. And it's not just riders, you know what I mean? There's the everyday person that I would collide with. If I'm in Westwood Mall, where if I'm in Woodbine Mall, and that is very rare because I don't like venture out too much. The amount of time that I spend venturing is like races, which is the track, home, races again. Like no, these times it is a little different, but for the other riders, it's like just to remind them, stop down pressing yourself. Number one, forget down pressing yourself because the biggest killers is ourselves.
Hmm.
And not people
Yes.
will say, and Mr. Holder could be acquainted with the mindset of our greatest our greatest problems or enemies is ourselves or our own kind. Oh well, you know what I mean? Because we come up on the era of discrimination by color or religious persons, or you know what I mean, or who you affiliate yourself with. We all come under these three guidelines: religious, our own kind, color, which is another downtrodden. Shh, be still.
Is that the lion? Got the lion there or what?
That's my son's dog, but he had learned
That was the
manners too. He's
lion.
just a puppy, you know what I mean? So don't worry. One day we will have a documentary, and you will see another lion in the background, a real life one. You
Well,
know what I mean?
speaking of documentary, don't forget, I got a documentary. It's gonna be coming out pretty soon. My man Juan Crawford he's revealed
Yeah,
from
I saw. Do you
Barbados.
know
He's
tonight
fill
is the
up.
first night that I saw that clip?
That's right, correct, man.
Yeah,
So,
tonight is the first night I saw that clip. So I
oh,
just,
tonight is the first time you've seen it?
it's first time.
Wow.
Everybody around me saw it. My mother-in-law, she said, "Oh yeah, but I saw that already." And I was like, "What? You saw that? This is the first time I'm seeing it." You know what I mean? Because I'm not a social media guy. So when social media pop up, I might be way away from
And
social media.
by the way, I had a really good conversation with your mom, and I had a really good time talking with your mom, and it was in Barbados, and
Yeah,
it was good, man. I really loved it. You know, can't wait to
yeah.
go back and chat it up
She's a
again.
good lady. You know, when that's a good, when this said good ain't good enough, so she's a great lady. You know what I mean? Yeah, she's a great lady, and I can tell you that's the reason why I told you when you said you were going to Barbados. There was a few people that I mentioned at that time also that could show or give a light to me. You know what I mean? You can go to the garrison, there's tons of people around there that you can cross any ghetto around the garrison. It doesn't matter which ghetto it was. You can cross any ghetto. You can travel up by Upchurch village. You know what I mean? And ask anyone if they ever heard about Warren Crawford, and they can guarantee you it's over 50% of the people that know this guy. You know what I mean? Because I venture in many places, but yet lots of these people grew up around me. You know what I mean? And many villages and districts. I spoke to many people. So it was like it's a blessing you're talking to that lady. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
man. Yeah.
You see that lady is like so important in my life. Like she like besides her, there's only my grandmom, she's passed, You know me, Carmen, Bishop, and that's where I sent you. But my cousin don't want that end of, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Andrew, he was like a format even with me up to these times. Everything's going rough on my side. He would be like, "Oh, come on, man! Like seriously,
He told
you're
me
not
that.
being, yeah, you're not in the position of the race that you belong.
And
This is
when
the
you and
most
when you see the video, when you see it come out, you'll see the importance that you are to this community. And Andrew, he spoke highly of you, and he's I gotta commend him because he told me he wasn't that kind of guy that embraces video or any of that kind of stuff.
no, that's not him.
He's just doing it for this occasion because of you. So give thanks,
Yeah, yeah,
Mr.
you
Holder.
couldn't.
Yes, sir. I'm here. I'm here. I'm listening,
Let's
man.
let's let's bring Mr. Holder into this conversation because he's
By
had
all
a tremendous
means,
year, man.
Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm
Oh,
forgetting
you gotta
something.
go?
No, I'm forgetting something.
Uh-oh.
it's
Uh-oh.
all right. It's
But let's
all right,
continue. Juan, let's
Mister
continue.
Holder.
So Juan, I wanna talk about first let's talk about Woodbine. Let's talk about the kind
The
of
whole
work
the
that you
year
put in.
went.
All right. The kind of work that you put in, man, because I visited you and at Woodbine and I realized that
Oh, he going for a hat.
Ted is
Oh,
a
man.
joker, man.
My head was
Yeah.
too
Oh,
bright, you know.
oh, you're all in these fancy hats.
That's my logo, right? So
So when they can get a logo that will fit my crown.
well, everything takes time. So I gifted Ted,
Oh.
the hat, you know what I mean, and it's just it's one of those things where I say thanks, man. Appreciate everything, So that's how it go. And one, not to worry, I got you.
All right, because I tell myself, yeah, I seen these fancy hats floating around, like all I got is my brother Bob. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's
You're
my
a good
brother
man.
Bob. But I
You're a good
bet
man floating with you.
be good, be good.
Mr. Holder,
Yes, sir.
let's talk about your season, man. This year you've done really well with the horses that you've had, and you didn't have a huge barn, but you had enough horses to get you where you are, and that's to your best year ever. Tell me a little bit about your team and the kind of work that's needed in order for you to move forward, in order for you to really be productive. Even though you don't have a huge barn, but you have a barn that is big enough to get you to that point and get you further.
Team, a good crew is very important. I mean, one of the most important things is everyone must be on the same page, achieving. Everyone must be out there to achieve what they set out. You know, don't just come in the morning and think that you're gonna put the time in. It's not just the time. You have to put the effort. You have to be willing to work to achieve what you want. It's not it's not too much to set a goal and go for it. Because once you set something, you have something to go to aim to, not just exist. And for the most part this year, all my people around me, they had a goal, they had somewhere they wanted to be. And we set out to reach 14. We fall short, we only got 13. No, sorry, 11. So we fell short by 3. But we eclipsed last year's money earning, pretty much doubled it.
Hmm. Well, that's
Yeah,
tremendous, man.
pretty much doubled the money earning. And I was very thankful, very appreciative of the staff.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's a big effort. I mean, I'll be honest, because to be honest, what I did was really what anyone really can do, and I just looked at the stats. I looked at the numbers. So I looked at the numbers and see that this year, your numbers popped up really good and surprised a lot of people. Sometimes I walk around the racetrack and I listen, and I hear what people are saying. And a lot of times people are saying Ted is a hard worker. Uh, a hard worker. Is it going to pay off for you, Ted?
I think it is. It's already starting to pay off. I'm already starting to get a little bit of coffee from the cup.
Hmm.
The cup. I'm getting little sips, so I'm going for it. I mean, as long as I keep working, which is gonna happen. If I don't work, I'm self-destructive. I have to keep moving. So
I got you.
once I keep going, I'll achieve. I'm not one to sit down on the couch and say, I wish I could have. I'm gonna get up and do it. I might take half an hour to myself, but the other 23 and a half hours, my mind is working or my body is working. So I'm going.
I hear you. I hear you on that. I mean, and that's a good initiative, especially for staff too as well. You got people working with you. If they see you moving, they see you that you're not a laid back kind of guy. It kind of encourages them to do the same as well. How
Well,
important is that to for you to show that to your staff?
you have to lead by example. I mean, I didn't grow up and got into this industry as a trainer. When I kind of jumped the queue a little bit in that I never really worked as a groom in Barbados. But when I came to Canada and worked as a groom, I made sure I could outwork anybody in the barn. I mean, I got into a couple barns. The third one I got into, it was a small barn, and we had to shine. I mean, that guy and we had 3 good years. I mean, I keep hearing there's a few guys that said, oh, they led over 15 races, winners in the season, they led over 20 races in the season. I make remember myself in 1990 leading over 26 horses that won races. And that was a lot of wins as a groom to take over. I remember that year, the guy I worked for was George Mancuti. He had his best year yet, and I led over 98% of those winners.
Wow.
I was the guy I was there from 5 in the morning with him till 3 in the afternoon. I was never satisfied. I remember back in those days at Woodbine, they used to have the red clay, and some they had crushed up. They used to put the red clay in the outside parade ring. So they had some at the back. I would go get wheelbarrow loads or basket loads to come and make my shed real pretty at the end of the day because everything had to be neat. This shed row, this barn had to stand out. Even though it was a small barn, this guy never had more than 10 horses back in those days. It had to stand out amongst the stable in the barn area.
So it's safe to say that you got a different strategy, and I think looking at it from my point of view is you don't have a big barn, you don't have all like top horses in terms of stakes and all that stuff, but you're gonna make your barn stand out in a way that people see it. When they come through that through to the track, they see who Ted Holder is. You know, am I
Yes,
correct?
yes. I mean, it's better to be seen than be heard. If you're in a crowd, you don't have to be the loudest person. You can be the quietest person, but as long as you stand out for something that's good or just stand out, you'll be noticed. It doesn't have to be the loudest person. You just gotta stand out.
All right, that sounds good to me, and I think it's working for you. I wanna hit back at one because I don't want one to fall off and not off and go to sleep because I don't know what his schedule is like now since he's not a race rider, so he might just fall off to sleep. One, tell me something, man. is there such thing as a bad horse? You know, I hear guys talk about raps and donkeys and all this kind of stuff, and I see them as horses. You tell me what's the difference between a rap, a donkey, and a horse.
In our industry, that's a word that should never be used because when you start, sorry, Juan, I'm going to jump ahead of you here and ask this question. When people start giving the horses those kind of names, is an insult. The horse might have a bad attitude or may not be quite good enough. Every horse has a level it can perform at. It might be a bad actor, but every horse has a level it can perform at. An owner is going to go out there and spend his money. He's not invested in rodents or donkeys. He's invested in racehorses. So if he buys a racehorse, it should be treated like a racehorse, not called a rodent or whatever, because that's an insult to the guy who is investing his money with us.
All right, let one answer that now. Hey, Ted, and just by the way, Ted, your stream is a little bit delayed, I think. So I don't know, Juan, is it showing the same for you too as well? But well, no, we can't hear you, Juan. I think you might. He's not muted, but well, I can't hear him. Well, we'll let him work on that, and we'll continue while he works on that, Ted. All right.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, me backtrack a little bit again.
Let me say this before we get going. Once I can hear you, I'll put my hand in the ear and let you know that I can hear you.
Yeah,
But
I
right
know
now,
you can hear me now.
oh,
Raise
now
your
I can
hand.
hear you. I'm
Raise your
good now.
hand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
raise
good now.
your
I can hear
hand.
you.
Right, raise your hand. You work and see that.
All right.
Right.
So
But I Ted was saying about rats and donkeys and all of these things, right? Originally it was like, for me, those would be the ones that Juan Crawford would have been named on. Mr. Holder could tell you the same. What some might call a rat or a donkey or whatever the case is. He found me in the entry box. The problem with the say rat or donkey, and we still won with them because that's not what I saw. Because for me, it is like saying every opportunity I get, every horse I get on, I gotta give the best. You know what I mean? I do my homework. Like, where can I put this horse amongst the other horses that is in the race? It's not this horse alone because he's not running by himself. It's not like going out on a morning work, breezing this horse or whatever the case is. He's running against how much other oppositions amongst him. So I got to analyze everyone around him and to see where I can set him to give him the best opportunity that he can have of beating his opponents. And sometimes these horses, they beat majority of the horses that they're running amongst already. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right, who this horse then beat yet, and how to beat them. I met myself seem like an even money horse instead of being the downtrodden rat or whatever you want to call them. And 99% of the time, I come out triumphant to know, well, all right, this horse that should have run last, I ran fourth for that one. And
But
this other one that should have run last, I ran fifth. Another one that, oh, he got a chance of running fifth. I want a race going on about my business. Like, oh, how is that horse belonging to what's his name, Ricky Griffith or um what the other trainer's name? How is this horses like going on about the business? But I had him with the opportunity of running fifth. But yet this one ran by 1 by 12, 1 by 5, 1 by 3, you know, and it's like all in giving these every single chance you get, the opportunity to like develop or to like increase its ability, put it where it belong, and work with the horse at the time, you know. So like Mr. Holder, I didn't have too much. I remember the first time riding for Mr. Holder, it was the opportunity to ride for young Ati. You know, I mean the horse that
Oh,
crossed over from Gulfstream.
no, that
One
it wasn't.
filly, chestnut filly,
I've been
I
saved.
rode.
I've been saved.
Yes, and
No,
I
we
rode
only had
this
that.
little filly, and I was running against some of the roughest of Cassies and outfields at the time. You know what I mean? And if given the time at that time, she would have won much more races, a lot more races. But from my side of it, she had her own personal issues fighting. You know what I mean? So I rode the horse the first time. She ran a solid race, and knowing that, yeah, I got these things to work over. The next time I rode her, it wasn't the same result, because the first time it would have been more like second. The next time I didn't even get the chance to run second. It was like just a downhill to redo. I, and after that time I rode her, I never even thought that, you know, I never heard about this that same exact horse again. You know,
I want to
so
ask
it
you
was
something.
like,
I want to ask you something. One, does it deflate you sometimes when you give a horse a good ride but I know now you're starting to get back the mounts and now you're getting more mounts. But does it deflate you a bit when you see you give a horse a good mount
no,
and then boom, somebody else come and get it?
no, because I can tell you what set the stage for me in that manner. It was the great Dylan. Many would call the Dylan Bill Marshall. You know what I mean? There was a time in my career that I was riding for Bill Marshall first as his main apprentice, and then as a contracted rider. You know, so it was like, and he told me, or here what's going on. I see you different than all of the other riders that ever came amongst me. So I see you as a horseman and not just a jockey, because I've came amongst many jockeys, but I see you as a horseman. And this is Bill Marshall words, rest him in the graveside. And he told me to develop who you really are and your real ability. He said, uh, on the mornings, when this gate, because we in the top paddock in Barbados now, right? There's the bottom paddock, but the track, the top paddock, and it's like when they get through this gate on mornings at 5 o'clock, you'll be here. And on evenings at 3 o'clock, are you gonna come through this gate? You make sure you be here. And he gave me the example or the reason of why at 5 o'clock and at 3 o'clock I gotta be there to start and there to finalize. So I was like, all right, I live in St. Philip. You went to my side of the
That's correct.
planet,
Yep.
you know, and you can see the distance. So I would have I stopped catching that 5 o'clock bus on mornings. You know, stop catching the 5 o'clock bus. At the time, I don't got no personal transportation with the driver, whatever the case is. And what I did, I overnight in the city.
I see.
Yeah, so I had my aunt. She lived in a Church Street at the time, which is the closest next bus. So if I catch a bus from Church Street, which is River Bus Stand, that 5 o'clock bus, or the first minivan that I saw going towards the garrison, it would have been shucks. I can be there in about 20 minutes. Most mornings things like a little green, and it was like, all right, I'll just walk. I'll just jog up the road. So I was making sure that I was there before Bill Marshall crossed through that top paddock lower gate at 5 o'clock. But
All
he
right.
little white little vehicle driving coming in. He had a small little white. So and that helped me along the way because he told me, just remember, getting to this point is that you just remember you could win on a horse and never ride it again. Just remember that you can give this horse a perfect ride and you the honest person can win on this horse. And you also remember that because you know this horse so good, no one else but you would understand this horse the way that you do. And I saw it play out. But he told me never get angry. Or because you're a horseman, never be angry. If you've been on a horse and never ride it again, because majority of your career you will win on horses and never get to ride them again. You
Those are
can be the
important
best
words.
rider but never ride them again.
I gotta ask the trainer the same thing, but I want to switch it up and ask him how does he deal with jocks if he has to take a jock off and put somebody else on. You tell me, trainer. Is that a question that you can answer?
Yeah, I can, but it's a tough thing because A, like Juan just said, he can probably be the only person that gets along with that horse. But then there's also times when the particular race you're leading up to, you might think, for me, is here is like using the apprentice rider. I might need to take that 5 or 10 pounds off and use an apprentice rider. Or again, back then it can be the rider might know a particular quirk of this horse and suits him very well. So sometimes, Joe Spratt can win on the horse today, but I'm going into start a race next week, which is a little tougher company, and then I'm going to need to use an apprentice rider and take the weight off. Might need to use a female rider rather than a guy rider because the females generally has a little lighter hands and don't really get too aggressive. Some horses are finicky, don't get too aggressive with them. You know, point of that being, I have a particular horse in my barn that I think he like female riders. I honestly believe he like female riders, and just
I
by
tell you
chance,
what, Mr. Holder, like
go ahead, Juan.
me, yeah, like me now, being compatible with horses on the whole, the understanding of horses, right? As I said on previous times, there's not every horse that you can be aggressive with. No, the horse is a big bonus. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like I could get on the horse the first time, and many times I got on the horse first time was race there, won with the horse, and it was always about a little tiny glitch that you might be surprised that I riding your horse down the lane or down the back stretch and realize, all right, I show my horse my whip, my horse repel from it. Oh, my horse don't like the whip. Or I turn for home, set down my horse is rolling. I show my horse my whip and I give it a tap, not a hit, a tap first. I realize then my horse hit the reverse button. I was like, oh, forget the whip. I can just be riding because you can feel the difference. Like the apprentice now, I see the direction that many trainers become like you for the simple reason is you see that weight difference. If your horse is cranked and spot set, especially when trainers put the horses where the horse belongs. Not all that. Let's give Juan Crawford the horse around for 40,000. Juan Crawford ready the buddy but ask me to do, oh, just ready here off of it. So I give you your horse, and your horse have no hair. Your horse is a monk. So I bring you back your horse with foot here, and the next start you're gonna put that same horse in road with foot here for 40,000, and you're gonna put it in for 10, and you're gonna put somebody else on the horse, and for whatever reason, whether it be mentally, physically, spiritually, personally, there's a different rider on the horse. All right, this horse for 10. Go and enjoy yourself. Win by 3 and go on about the business. You think I'll be angry? Never. Because for the simple result, Bill Marshall said, oh no, but you don't pay that bill. They only just pay that bill and don't believe every trainer you ever hear. Now remember that. That is what I learned.
Those are wise
Don't
words.
believe,
Wise
yes,
words.
wise word. Don't believe every trainer you heard. Because as you know, as a trainer, maybe remember I'm a trainer, I'm a jockey. But along your passage of time, you might would hear similar words and say like in a different format to say, well, oh well, you know, are you accustomed to having this trainer? You know, this is my trainer, but I'll see what I can do for you and use the trainer. Meanwhile, you as a trainer now telling me on the next format, knowing you have the power to put me on, saying, well, oh, the owner. I can tell you the worst thing that ever happened to me. One trainer gets so comfortable with telling me the same old story mindset of it. Or but you know the owner and I was spiritually sharp enough to know well, but shucks, this guy that trained the horse owned the horse. But he was
That's kind
so
of funny.
comfortable to tell me about about the owner. Like forgot that he also is the guy tagged. Not saying that he got all the rights to who ride it or whatever, but he's the name tag. And he told me, oh, but the owner, and I was like, okay, no problem. Anyhow, you get a chance, I would love to write this one.
So
No
let me ask the
problem.
trainer, is that a difficult conversation to have with the jockey?
A lot of the times, yes, because like Juan just said, we got some owners that have their mindset that they have to have rider X or rider Y. Now you have a rider that you have a good rapport with, and he's in the corner for you, and you're trying to work with him, and he works with you. Then you got an owner that comes and said, I don't like this guy. I prefer to use rider X. You know, there's a guy that's in your barn every day. He takes your horses to the gate. He does A, he does B. Then you gotta tell him, well, you can't ride this horse in this particular race because the owner thing. That is a little difficult conversation I had. I mean, earlier this year, I had a rider quit me
Hmm.
because I had to make a decision because I was getting pressure from the client where we were going with the horse
Now,
next.
I want to ask you. I want to ask you. I don't. Not to interrupt you. But I want to ask you. Now, does that? It doesn't necessarily mean that that the jock is not a great jock or not a good jockey. It's just maybe a difference of opinions or whatever, right? It's just business.
Political.
Most of it is just business and politics. Just business and politics. The top 5 riders at Woodbine predominantly gets the golden fruit. Then the rest are for the stragglers. They gotta get what's left over. But the top 5 riders get the golden fruit. I mean, they got the agents who is gonna call up our owner and say, "Hey, your horse fits in this race. I mean, can my rider ride it?" I mean, there's a lot of backdoor stuff going on that you will be surprised.
Yeah, but that goes to also trainers. And also the agents of it.
Yes.
That the
I
top
mean,
5 trainers gonna get the cream of the crop. And you yourself know that it's not that you don't have the ability to have a secretariat mixed with a sham and a cigar. You just know that, oh well, secretariat and those horses are gonna go to outfield or Cassia or one of the other barns that numbers are already rich. It's not saying that they're better than you, but it's just saying that those are the powers you're working with.
well, I
Not
decide.
saying that Cassie is not, or I feel it. Those guys are not sharp like razor blade that will slice your neck coming to the wire. You know what I mean? Because those guys are solid. You know what I mean? These are solid people that you're working with, but you also have the ability. But loyalty is the I would say loyalty is the biggest problem this have.
But I want to ask both of you. So does that mean that you make some noise, or does that mean you sit back and you just wait and be patient? Well, how does that work?
All right.
Sit
For
back
me,
and
how
wait.
I dealt with that is I decide to purchase a piece of pretty much every horse in my barn. Pretty much every horse in my barn, I decide to have a piece. Anything that's 2 and 3, and a couple of the 4-year-olds, I decide I'm going to own a piece of them, because if one of the top 5 trainers decide they want to buy the horse, or they want the horse, they got to buy me out. Come with enough money that they can purchase my share also. So if I'm losing the horse, I'm also making money. I'll replace that horse. I'm not married to any of these horses. I see them as
Business.
business and a way to feed my family.
But that's a real talk, because coming from a trainer is good that you can just kind of share that information, or appreciate it. You can share that information with the public, share
Yeah,
with
I
people
mean,
who are potentially trying to get into the business as well.
Or
maybe in two
maybe
years, I'm the one who's buying horses from people instead of people looking to buy my horses. I mean, this year I think I claimed 5 horses, and they're all were claimed back from me. I've lost all but one. I mean, you got to turn horses over.
you will
Turning
never
horses
lost
over, whether it
one.
be by the claim or selling, it keeps the business going.
You
Barns
Juan,
will
you
are,
were
never
saying something.
lost one.
pardon?
No, so you will never lost one. One is the hardest number to lose.
No. One is the hardest number to lose. One is always with us.
Yeah, one. I'm always here. But for the simple reason is, I would say the only difference between, but you just said that, you know what I mean, you try to have a portion of all of your horses, you know what I mean, because it's a business for you. Meanwhile, for me, riding these horses is not about the business of it. If I was studying the business of it, you maybe would not be seeing me on the mindset that I'm at. You know what I mean? But for me, it is about the love of the animal, because as Ras, it is a portion of our creation, right? This animal, and maybe for me, it's easier for me to see horses on a different level, because I know something that can be great, and I saw horses that had the potential and can be great and fell. And when I said fell and fell hard, because people on a budget had no patience for that animal. And I mean, like, horses that want to do it. And that's the bigger problem when you have horses that want to do it. I had a great year, some would say. For me, I didn't had a great year. You know what I mean? Because better must come. I way behind the curtain. So I collided with a few horses that wanted to do it for a change. I had the ability or the opportunity, given a small little window, not the door, the window. The boy give me the door. I get that opportunity yet to get the door open. No, me, but somebody open the window to ask the question, what you want? What you doing outside my place? I want a little up, but give me a little water. I thirsty on my journey. You know what I mean? That's what it was getting over these times
Now I gotta ask you
spiritually.
one. Do you find that that perception is changing? Do you find that you're getting approached by
Changing,
more people?
but I tell you what, a few more barns, a few of the barns that I actually rode this year. I rode what? How much races I rode for you this year, Mr. Holder? About two.
Two, I think. Towards the end, I
You-
only got you on two.
Right, two. The last time I rode for Mr. Holder was several years back when Jetley first started up, and I must have rode what? About 5, 6 races for Mr. Holder on that little small scale with Walk Up Queen. And then before that, I rode the horse for Ati Joseph Jr. I think Bubba would have been about the second or third.
I know the
And
horse you're talking about. It's a filly
yeah,
called I've Been Saved.
yeah, you see,
Yeah.
I've been saved. Don't you want me to go into chorus or something? All right.
I got a picture
All
if you
right.
want to see it, you
Because we
know.
all coming from a church system of it. But anyway, you know, and that was from back then. That's how much I write for Mr. Holder. And it's not like with Mr. Holder that we had the greatest or the strongest hold, but when we did come together, it was for I would say for me,
Great good.
it was the opportunity to write for one of my own and to give a feedback. That feedback to know, well, maybe I might never ride this horse again, but
I
I
want to
can
I
tell.
want to stop you right there. I want to ask you a question. I want to put it to both of you because I want to ask you this. Do you when you ride for you said for riding for one of your own. So you ride for somebody from Barbados, right? And not only from Barbados, but Mr. Holder's from St. Philip. I just want to put that in there. So I want to
Oh,
ask you this question. Do is it a special feeling like, in terms of you want to make this happen? You want to make this ride win. You want to win when you ride for one of your own. Does it encourages you more, or do you just kind of take them out and how does that work?
all
For
right.
for Mr. Holder, you answered the question too in terms of when you give your mounts to somebody from Barbados, like is it a special thing that you're hoping, or you just want to get it to the finish line? Go
Thank you
ahead,
for
Juan. You
that.
answer first.
Oh, well, but I forgot answer first, but I can tell you the honest truth, right? It's like me writing for any person that came from Barbados. I would say I say a horse is a horse. You know what I mean? That four-legger is that four-legger. But the people that you actually ride for, it's a bonus to know that there's other Barbadians out there. And still, like, I ride for Mr. Holder. It's only recently to know, well, oh, yeah, well, no. Don't let me say recently. I was only refreshed or reminded recently. Because even with Walk Up Queen and even when they wrote for Ati, Junior, it was like I knew that I dealing with another Philippine. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like he's just another Barbadian. Oh, you're from the same don't press Barbadian as I am, because remember, it doesn't matter where you come from. When we hear about discrimination in Canada, some of the greatest discriminators come from your own land. You know what I mean? And that's how lots
Amen.
of people get thrown under the bus on arrival. You know what I mean? That shuttle bus that will take you from the plane and carry you elsewhere. Some of the greatest people that will pull you off that bus and drop you underneath the bus to get run over. or the people that came from the same land.
Wow,
So
that's important. I mean, it's real talk, but it is important also to hear it. It's very sad to hear also, but I guess it's
yeah,
real talk
it's
still.
sad, but it's true. You know what I mean? To know your greatest, like one a teacher that teaches mathematics, and he's an electrician. He's the one that a guy that is staying at my place or my family's place in Barbados. You know what I mean? Or little holdings that myself and the wife we built that from scratch, as in with sickles, cutting grass, twice my height. I just short guy, so it might be real sight to you. I don't know. Maybe around your waist. It might be easier for you to cut that. you know. So as me being and me and the wife we battle for days and days and days, and we cleared that, and that got rampage. You know what I mean? Like, and these my people. This is Barbadians. I left Barbados. Place got broken into. So everything that I could have saved nickel and dime for to build the place, all tools got ambushed. The whole place got like in trouble, wrecked, stolen out. All my trophies, majority of my trophies, and for every state race that I was riding, different than Canada. Because in Canada, you might win state races or whatever the case is. The rider don't get the same acknowledgement. You might get the acknowledgement to say, well, oh yeah, well, he won this race. Where's your proof?
All
But
right, got you.
media, yeah, Barbados, I got something with this stencil, you know what I mean? It's stencil with me upon it, like me winning races in 4 theory is like different ball game. I won championship. I know it was Corona time or whatever the case is, but not with the same um that upliftment or respect as other riders in the same Corona time would have
Got
got.
you.
You
I
know,
want Ted to answer the question that we talked about the Barbadian riders when they do ride for you. How do
how
you
you feel?
feel? Do you want them to win? Do you want to do well with them? How does that work? It,
Oh, oh man, as soon as I know I have an opportunity to get a Barbadian rider, I'm ecstatic. I mean, I'll go back to 99. I'll make you and a young buck boy named Tyler Gaskin. He actually won his first race on one of my horses. I mean, when the time came to enter that horse, I knew the filly couldn't lose. I mean, she'd already had a race under her belly that year. She'd had 3 starts because I was bringing her to Maryland. She had a start at Woodbine, was below that caliber, so took her down to Fort Erie and entered her. About to enter, and Chris Griffith at the time was riding. He was the man at Fort Erie, and he came to me and said, "Listen, I have to ride a horse for XY as a trainer. I'm riding all his horses. Politically, I can't get off to ride your horse." So I simply asked him who's available. I asked him, what about Tyler had started riding? What about this Gaskin kid? Because before I just seen Tyler around as a young kid. Never seen him really riding. He said, well, you can if you want. I said, his dad's a Barbadian. So hence he's a Bajan. Let's go for it. So being Bajan, I put him on his first win. Then, Chris and I that year I put Chris on a few winners. I mean, Chris won my first, I would say, allowance race for me, and that was a first maiden special race for me. Chris won. Chris won my first race on the EP Taylor Turf course. I take off the track record. Actually, there's a story behind that. The horse paid $149, and a guy ended up dying in the grandstand with a ticket in his pocket.
wait, you
$10,000
said
winning
dying?
voucher.
You say
He
someone
had a
died in the
heart
Grand
attack
Slam?
with over a $10,000 ticket in his hands. Only two people bet that horse that day.
Wow.
Myself and that guy.
Wow.
I mean, but again, it was confidence. I knew the horse can lose, or if I was very excited about the horse winning, and I wanted no one else on the horse but Chris. And I'll even backtrack again. The start before that horse winning in that race was a race in Fort Erie. With 6.5, I was running. I was a non three at Fort Erie right non four. I was a non four at that time. That was a non four open, but I was beaten the last start, double digits. But I came home to 40, which was my home base that year, with my tail between my legs,
Mhm.
kicked myself in the shin because I said, I'm a better horse person than this. That horse should not have been beaten double digits.
Do you beat up yourself all the time if you lose a race?
Not now. Now I just back up and go back to the drawing board. But that day, I couldn't figure out how the horse got beat. I could not figure it out. And I'll tell you the story behind that when it's done. So I came to Fort Erie, trained the horse, bullet works. I mean, some quick times. I couldn't figure it out. Coming to entry, Chris and I actually sat down and had a business meeting. Because Chris said, no, listen, I have to call every single horse in this race. It was a 7-horse field. Every single horse in this race, I have to call on. Are you sure? It's a championship coming down to the end. It was October. Are you sure this horse can win? I said, Chris, if you don't win, you don't deserve to race again. Because I've put everything I got into this horse, done all my homework. This horse can't get beaten. He said, all right. I trust you. I mean, like Chris and I go way back, from back in 85. So now he's saying, all right, I trust you. I walk into the paddock, resaddling the horse, trainer next to me, saddle her horse, and I walk to the right side to Wizzy and Gossip to another trainer. Because I was the long shot in the race also. I think it was like 35-1. She had the favorite. And all I hear is, I don't know what Ted Hole is doing in this race with this particular horse. Hope you don't get her in our way. I just looked over at her and I shook my head. Just waiting for you. Got to the gates open. It was a sloppy track. My horse was the only one with clean silks.
You went straight to lead.
Straight to the lead, one thing. So no, I came back, chest puff in the air. I'm confident. I have the key now. I knew exactly what I was missing.
And that must have felt good.
Oh, I felt really good. 9 days came. Can't hold the horse on the ground. Can't hold. Back then, I was still galloping my own. Can't hold the horse. Can't. It took everything to keep this horse from hurting himself. Try to run it back in Fort Erie. No. No races for you. We can't write a race for you. We can't do this for you. Okay. Open the condition book to Woodbine. 6-furlong race on the EP Taylor for 32,000 from the best sprinters on the grounds on the turf. Because now he's now wide open. So he's up against horses that made 200, 300,000 top of their form. But as soon as entries closed and I knew it was in, I hired a van and sent the horse up to Woodbine. Because in the time I realized that the horse was getting beat, I was shipping from Fort Erie to Woodbine the day of the race.
Oh, okay.
Horse did not like that. Horse did not like
Yes.
stress or shaking up. So he got beat. So he came up. I sent it to my friend Sean to keep him for a couple of days. Yes, jog him for the 2 days. I'll be up to saddle him. race open. He couldn't show speed against those kind of horses because he was cutting back a half a furlongs, so forth. Jumped up and won. I had a few bucks on him. Felt like a big man, and that was it. That was actually, I would think, that was my best achievement in training because I did a lot of work and I made sure. I think a lot of people might remember that horse, a horse called Cure de Triomphe. He,
Wow.
he was actually a very good grass horse around here in the late 90s. Actually, I lost him in 2000, and he went on to make a good dollar until he had an accident on the racetrack. But he was a
Wow.
really nice horse.
And I want to ask one, um, how a couple of things I want to ask. One, first of all, I know when I spoke with Kurt Johnson earlier this year, and he told me that when he gets on a horse that's like the big long shots, and he just loves to like upset the field. Is that it gives him more joy than anything else just to pull off that victory. How do you feel when you pull off all these victories at 28-1 and 35-1 and all these kind of stuff, man? Like, what's going on in your head? I think you're muted again. Juan, you're muted. There you go.
You can hear me now.
Yeah, that's right. Go ahead, brother.
Right. It's only recently that you would have heard me about. I myself would have been thinking, "Oh, what's the odds of this race?" So I scan. I start scanning first. I scan the entries. It could be it's I start scanning through everything, and then it's odds are the less of my care because I scan for horses, and I'm like, "Whoa, this horse is at this price." I mean? Like, Walk Up Queen, many times I bond with her. I was looking at the price and I laughed to myself. I was like, really? Somebody up there must be gambling. You know what I mean? Because she's better than these others. And for me, I'm looking at it as in my horse don't know the odds. I don't gamble. I don't care about the odds. You know what I mean? I just out there to give my everything. So when I see these big odds pop up, sometimes I look at it as, oh yeah, well this is an upset, and other times I'm looking at it as in it should never be in that price. It's not every time that I go there and these horses pay big money. Even some that I don't even win, and I see them with other riders paying big money. I'm like, wow, some bookie is booking. And I just laughed to myself because I was like, wow, but to win on one of them, the bigger the shot, the better it is for me. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm thinking when I win with these big odds, oh, this is poor people's money. That's how I see it is as in poor people's money. Because every time I go there, that's one of the things that push me a little over and extra. With a little extra is that just the most of the people that might be better me might be the poorest people. You know what I mean? That might got a toonie left or a loony left, last 20 cents. Because I remember riding for Terry and there was this lady, and this is a memory that will push me forever. And she was like shouting me in the parade ring. She was like, well, I down to my last. I have nothing else. She gambled everything she had. Everything that's I could picture the lady face right in front of me now. And if she's listening in the background, she would know it's her. And I can't push her name. She knew it's her. And she was like telling me, but this is it. And when the race was finished, I won this horse paid, I think it was either forehead friend that paid $56 and some to win, or otherwise it was no, that would have been before Loquacious that paid big money. But this horse paid like 100 and some bucks. And
Nice.
she was parading, you know what I mean? Like carnival crop over kind of parading. Can't believe it business. I thought that was your last tune. That's what she told me before. My
And
last
that, I
two
guess that
dollars.
brings that makes you feel happy, I guess, in a
Yeah,
sense.
and she told me and after races now, cause she waited outside the Jock's house. And she told me, now listen to me. If you only knew for riding the horse the way you rode this horse, now I'm able to pay these bills. Feed my family. She had four other little ones. And
Wow,
imagine at those
nice,
times
nice.
I had a little young family too. You know what I mean? If I was betting like her, maybe my things would have been a little nicer that weekend because it was like shucks, she's happy parading or whatever the case is. At that time my rent was due. Um I needed to hit the supermarket. There was not a nickel or dime on my behalf. You know what I mean? Not a nickel or dime for me. But God is love and God is life. So as simple as it is, I got a little bonus. And there's nothing that I was looking for. And my little bonus was enough for me to get my food for that night.
Correct. Now let's switch it up a little bit and talk about some other serious matters. For example, a jockey and trainer, right? Um, both of you potentially can face a suspension. First of all, Juan, how do you handle that? And Mr. Holder, how hard do you try to avoid those type of situations? Because for you, I guess your suspension will come in a different manner, maybe medication, maybe something like that. So how important is it for you to avoid those areas? And for one, when you're ready, you can tell me how do you handle a suspension if it ever occurs?
Oh, suspension. Well, I would say in my career, the worst suspension I had was in Barbados. And I can tell you how the suspension happened. And up to this day, I will still be sitting on the remnants of it. That I had, um, they would say for marijuana, I had a bad test. Meanwhile, I wasn't even in Barbados when this test must have passed through the lab or whatever the case is. 2010 in April, which should have been the last time I rode in Barbados. 2010 in April, right about the 21st, somewhere around there. And and this suspension came as in I only know about this suspension um about a year after I was supposed to go back to Barbados to ride the Gold Cup. And then my family, my household wasn't, it says it is now, because at that time I would have only had I would have my, well, my son in Barbados and my other three sons to travel with. Everybody was paid for. Everything was set with Mr. Gibbs, you know what I mean? And he was like, wow, all right, I got everything set, tickets booked, everything whenever you're ready. And but I spoke to Robert Pierce's wife, Rosette Pierce, which would have been the president at that time, and I don't know if she still is. And she was like, "Well, one, you can continue to ride in Canada, but here it can be too much problems. You know what I mean? To be back riding by this time, and this is how serious a suspension can be. Make it worse, a suspension you have no clue about. This is a year since I left Barbados. I didn't even know that I had a glitch in my own personal come home to ride system. And she said, well, yeah, it's all right. You can ride in Canada, whatever the case is. But your bigger problem coming to Barbados to ride at the time would have been having the suspension with the drug offense. like you had a positive test, and the whole board is not here to hear your case by the time you get here. So I'm here thinking like, how is it that how long will I have to wait? Oh, we don't know. This body's on vacation. This body's not around. This body, I don't know when next they'll be around. So I can come to Barbados and sit through that whole time. I could still be sitting up to this day since 2010 before they can get the whole board together. By now, she might be the only person on that board that is still living from those times.
It's tough.
You know what I mean? So I could have sitting waiting for a graveyard to throw up bones.
Mm.
When people talk about tossing bones, right? I could wait on the graveyard to throw bones, along with one two other little personal things. But and these times now, but when it comes to suspensions, deadly. You know what I mean? I suffered suspensions that was surprising over the years in Canada. My first suspension would have cost me 7 years. My first
Oh, why
suspension.
7 years? Why so much? Why so much time?
Well, I'll tell you what. With those first 7 years that I spent, it would have treated me like I was Christ spending 7 years. But yet, those 7 years, it came like a personal conflict. You know what I mean? Like I maybe stuck a toothpick in the wrong ant's nest.
Hmm.
So
I got you. I got you.
yeah,
Got you.
in the wrong ant's nest at the time. You know what I mean? So I mixed with the wrong colony or messed with the wrong colony. I had the wrong people agree with me. So it was like the judge said you're good to go, which is the political part, the actual system said, oh, no, but you're all right. This is not a problem. And you weren't wrong for doing what you had to do. But no, the colony
Mm.
or the island, which I keep constantly telling people about horse racing, is that this is like its own little, it's like Barbados.
It has its own
All
shape,
horse
its own
racing,
island, its
yeah,
own
all
property.
horse racing is like the little island of Barbados. Now, whatever goes on around Barbados is the rest of the world. So you can go all kind of sports, all kind of wars, all kind of everything, but horse racing governs itself.
And
There's rules that put into place there that only there because remember, whenever it boils down, we sign up to these things. So whatever happens, that's what you signed up for. You know
I
what I
gotta
mean?
ask
It's like
I gotta ask the trainer about the suspension part and how do you avoid it and how important is it for you to continue to avoid those kind of situations?
It's very important because a suspension for a trainer means time and not time
time and money.
away. Time away is money. You can't play your trade. You can't be at the barn. If a trainer is suspended, his operation ceases. The horses get
Disperse.
dispersed, go to other people. The staff is put on the block in the meantime, or they go to other trainers. So if a trainer does get suspended, it's like starting all over. So trainer does the best to avoid that. And for me, the way I avoid that is I don't let anyone else touch the medicine other than me. I'm not too big yet that I have to have an assistant trainer that does the medicine. My foreman, my assistant, he can do the fees, whatever the case is, but I'm still the guy today who's in the commander at 4 o'clock and administer the necessary medicines that has to be administered. I'm not gonna, I can still afford to do it and not miss a day, and it doesn't take away from anything else. Now, when I start having larger numbers, I might have to get a dedicated person to do that and don't have anything else on the plate that they can afford a mistake, because it's a very tedious thing. You have to pay attention. You have to know the withdrawal times, who gets what, and you have to record everything that's done. That actually, other than the physical looking after a horse, marking the stall, that takes more time than anything else, because you have to give medication, you have to go and record it, and that can sometimes take an hour of your day just doing that. You have to record it, and that's very important, because
Oh yes, it
not
is.
only getting a positive or avoiding the positive, you also have now to answer the authorities once you have that positive. You have to make sure that they know, even they gotta know what you give, and you also have to know what you're allowed to keep in your barn. So it's very important to not make a misstatement where that's cause a positive can ruin you
Yeah, deadly.
in today's racing industry.
Now,
Can't afford
now,
to push the envelope.
now, has the racing game changed, or correct me if I'm wrong, but do you have regular pep talks where you can actually have the entire staff or workers or helpers, whatever, together so they understand how important this is not only for your barn but for your image, for everyone? Because I mean, if you're doing well, it means that everyone else, the hot walkers, grooms, whoever, that they're going to do well too. So how important is it that you have these regular talks with them to let them know, look, we can't afford to screw around and make mistakes?
That's pretty much a daily conversation. I mean, you walk the barn. I know there's some barns that they do not allow the staff to have a cup of coffee in the barn. You want a coffee, you're gonna go to the barn and have that coffee. Coffee is not allowed in the barn around the horses, because caffeine is one of the things that's detriment to a trainer. Also, as you might have been around the last year, you might know people are very scared now of pepper, cayenne pepper, because there's something in cayenne pepper that's causing positive tests. And cayenne pepper has been a tool in our industry for countless years. A tool that helps with the bandages. A horse might want to take off its night blanket. You use cayenne pepper or a derivative to deter the horse from doing that. But
Yeah, it's a derivative. You know what I mean? It's not the actual cayenne, but it is what the additional
just
supplement that they start using. The massing is not the original; it's the counterfeit that became the problem. The synthetic and not the original. You know what I mean? It is like Warren Crawford and the counterfeit. So it is
Who
like
would
pretty
that
much
counterfeit be if it's not Juan Crawford?
uh,
Who's that counterfeit of Juan Crawford?
a counterfeit. But this where I saw this dread. You know what I mean? So I don't know who I'll be dreading. I'll be anything is anything. You know what I
I
mean?
got
But
you.
but yeah, just a counterfeit, and that's where the problem come in. And Ted got a big job to deal with. You know what I mean? It's not like it's respect trainers, but trainers are not strainers. I'm not discriminating on one, but I mean like horsemen. You know what I mean? Like Ted, I know he just pay attention, and he ain't got the better rules for horses, because he got horses that I see coming down the Mall Road. When they say Mall Road, you even know Mall Road. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Coming down Mall Road doing the rodeo, and whoever on it got stick on it. He got good ones that just mellow and nice, but and like every barn, they got the racketeers. You know what I mean? They got the tough gongs. So somebody got to deal with those. And Ted, I
There will be
know
some bad
he's a
actors.
hard worker. You know, what I mean, he don't just like kick back and let things fall into play, because then he would not be having the year that he having now.
Yeah,
He
that's
hunt
right.
it down. You know what I mean? Like I even at first I know that so far, because as he would tell you, he had many other riders rode for him, or whatever the cases are successful other riders. The amount of rides I had for him, and how much race say, but the one or say a top three or hit the money or visible for him. You know what I mean? For me, as a one rider, I appreciate, and it was significant because the Ted is concerned. I see it as I see him as a not only a trainer but a fellow Caribbean person, just like Miss Beverly. You know what I mean? She's a fellow Caribbean person, just like all the other guys. It doesn't matter where they come from, because it's not only Caribbean that I ride for. You know what I mean? Or making anyone feel, oh, he gonna ride for Ted Holder harder than he rides for Kevin Attard. No, when those gates open up, no, if Ted Holder didn't give me his horse, whoever you on, Ted Holder, you gotta get beat because they beg you to ride your horse. And that's so I say, Kevin Attard, Mark Cassie, I sorry, but I gotta beat you because you should have give me your horse.
That's it. That's the
Don't make your
mentality.
horse better. Don't make your horse better. I would think that it should be better, but no. If there's any little window that I can beat you, you're gonna be beaten.
I want to ask you something, one, and I want to ask you, Ted. Both. I mean, I want to ask one first because he brought it up, and I'll let Ted answer. Well, not answer, but you tell me about your relationship. But you mentioned Bev. Tell me about the relationship with you and Bev Chubb. I know that when I see you guys together, I see wins.
Oh, you
Uh,
say
uh,
unit.
I see a unit. So tell me about that, and Ted, you can tell me about your regular writer. I see you, one guy who writes for you a lot. You can probably uh, tell me a little bit about those things. So go ahead, one.
Oh, all right. But Miss Beverly, we've been pushing this thing for a while. You know what I mean? Along with Miss Beverly, it was my agent Tim Orlando. You know what I mean? He's a backbone because he's also coming like a family member to my family. Because when things was like extremely super rough, you know what I mean? Instead of I calling on a big agent to say, well, oh yeah, well, I short of a rent or I short of a this or that, I can say, Mr. Tim, I need this. I don't need to tell him what it's for, but he can guarantee for himself personally, all right, I got you. Because he know, well, I ain't a hurry come up, and I ain't just I want this to go and gamble out and nick dice with, or you know what I mean, or whatever. You know that I up to par, and he can be out for me up to this day. You know what I mean? Even with the year that I had, and he can be telling himself, oh, but you turn so much paper, you should have been all right to get through the winter. If I said, Mr. Tim, I need this, I can get it. Don't matter how he find it. If it's a crawfish, don't worry. I don't have it, but I'll dig a hole or two and see if I can help you. Miss Beverly, same thing. You know, because we come together as a family. You know, so it become for us. It became a family business, and it all came through respect and due diligence. That she has more or less the same mindset as I do. Like what's best for the horse. And as I would say to many people, she would always ask me on every mission we had this year, the year before, and the year before, as we build up to this date. And like I say, as we move on, you know what I mean? It's like I can see better things ahead. Better must come
Right.
because we don't only we start out and created a family with people amongst us that it's not just about us, it's about the horse. What's best for the horse, and that's the mistake many people made. They forget the love of the horse. If you don't show that horse love, then things gonna start to dwindle away. You're gonna lost care because before love, there's no care. And I think that was one of the things that was in the stable, but I just like elevated it and strengthened it. And anybody that passed through that barn, I think maybe you might be to see me in that barn with a pitchfork or with a rake or just switching things around because I might come into the barn in the morning to see, well, oh shucks, what is the real like a pitchfork or a rake or a straw fork on the same side as the horse, and it's not only about the horse, it's like the hot walker walking a horse, and he's coming down the barn, and there's a pitchfork on his side. I said, well, guys, please, whoever picking stalls, do not put forks, rakes, none of this equipment, not even a bin, a stool bin, on the same side as the horse, because that side of the stall is the same side as the handler. And if
Got
push
you.
come to shove and something go crazy, you know what's gonna happen? The handler gonna get hurt because he can end up colliding with a pitchfork or trampling into a bin. The more hazard. I don't want the hazard on the handler side. Let the handler let the hazard be on a horse. We can replace, as many people would say, we can replace a horse. But we don't want to. But to replace human life is more deadlier,
Interesting. Yeah.
irreplaceable. You know what I mean? There's 1,000 horses. There's more horses than humans. Although I get angry for these things because now you're allowing a horse or human to get hurt.
Correct.
Don't be careless. So with these Miss Beverly is concerned, it's like it's a bonus working in that stable. You know, me going through details with every horse and how the year came along. It was nice.
Yeah, I saw
You
that too,
know,
and I saw that
yeah.
definitely. I think that relationship is special. Now, Mr. Holder, you tell me about your regular rider, and how do you feel with having a regular rider, or even how important it is?
First, let me touch on Bev Chubb. I congratulate Bev Chubb on her award for humanitarian at the end of the year. I mean, I go back with Bev from 1989. Bev was one of those people who reached out to us and welcomed us when we first came to Canada from Barbados, back when she was a writer for Daniel O'Callaghan, back when Daniel O'Callaghan was the trainer for Rosa Farms. So Bev's been around, and Bev has always been, to this day, a hardworking and very
Solid.
generous and kind person. Now, to having a regular rider, it's part of a team. So having a guy like Jason in my barn every day to help me prep the young horses is a plus. I mean, you can have a rider, but you need to have someone who understands the horses and who can give you a good feedback. Having a rider who's just going out there, some exercise riders to this day, you're not able to communicate with the horse or have the horse on the correct lead when it leaves the gate or correctly going through the turn. So having a rider like Jason who will sit on the horse and come and have a minute, sit down with you afterwards and discuss with you, well, listen, this horse was lugging out a little bit or playing with the bait, something that's not right, or maybe not moving right in behind, you know, nothing major, but something should be pay attention to is key, especially when I'm at the stage where I'm developing a lot of young horses. I mean, I have them as two. They might not necessarily all win races as two, but they're the ones that are going to be the foundation the following year. You always need to have 3-year-olds in your barns because they're the ones, and that's the most profitable time of a horse career, the 3-year-old career. Because they can go through the 3 conditions and make you a significant amount of money. So if you have a rider who's in your corner and who's there with you, that can be paramount.
Well, I mean, I like the answer. I think that's pretty good. But I want to ask you something because you said, having a 3-year-old, and this reminds me, you have a nice little 3-year-old who's debuting in January, probably getting ready for 2023. That great horse you got. How's that horse doing?
Oh, you mean Kauko Kaipu?
That's correct.
He's
Yeah.
at present he's in Ocala enjoying the sunshine. Right about now he's on 24-hour turnout right now because the weather is good. I had a video with him today. My groom, he let me have a video viewing of him, so he's enjoying the weather. He's a pretty laid back horse, so I can afford to leave him out overnight because he's not going to run the fences or get too excited. Keep my fingers crossed and hope he develops into the horse I think he is.
So you think that'd be a suitable horse for Juan Crawford to ride?
Now you see, you're trying to get me fired.
No, I'm not trying to get you fired. I'm trying to make you win more races.
Oh, right. No,
I love it.
the regular
I love
rider
it.
is
Let me
I love
toss
the
that
answer,
to the way.
man.
Don't go further on that because
that's like
I
family,
don't
right?
need you to be fired or whatever the case is. So don't even answer that question. So we going
There is-
on and
We can discuss another one with the same pedigree in the barn.
you see, so he don't. You see, this is what Juan Crawford put away for many years. You know,
We can
don't talk about the
discuss
good
another
one.
one.
Talk about something else. Let me talk about something else altogether.
Alright.
We even talking about that.
Not the good ones. Let's talk about something else.
Yeah. So we can talk about something else then.
Like this one is
Be all
listen, this
right.
one can be another walk-up queen. All right. This one can be another walk-up queen. It's kind of falling along the same path.
You see, that's what we're talking about. So all right.
You just
I
go-
don't mind.
You just go in with this one once. Once can lead to
And-
twice.
And that
Once
gonna
you
put
win
me to
once,
the
you lead
grave.
to
That
twice.
gonna just put me to write that one again.
So hang on. So if my man Juan Crawford touched that horse and that horse wins, then that doesn't look good for some people, and then it looks good for others. So that's a tricky one. So I mean, training, that's a lot of
That's
juggling, a
where
lot
it
of
leads.
puzzles that you got to put together.
No, that was weird to me. You got to find horses that fit riders. That goes back to that question earlier. No, for me and this particular horse, it's gonna be very tricky because the first race of the year is gonna be a make or break race. I would love for him to break his maiden in that first race because he has a pretty bold schedule ahead of him. I mean, this horse looks like he's gonna fit in the
Queen's
elite
Spade
of the
and
trio
those.
campaign. So, I mean, he's already proven that he fits with them. So, getting that first race out of the year out, and also getting a rider that's going to commit to him, because where he's going to be racing, there are some days that he's going to be second best. Not that I want him to be second best, but as an athlete, when you go out there, you're knocking heads with the best. Some of them are gonna be better than you on the particular day, and that's horse racing. Some of them are
Oh
gonna
boy,
be.
here Esmond Flores.
That's
Sorry,
pretty
so-
funny,
Trying
eh?
to get on. Stop trying to get on his horse. You don't worry, S1. All is well. All is well, S1.
So-
S1 said, "Won't cover." Stop trying to get on my horse. Wow.
So that's the politics of the that's the
Yeah,
politics you
so
talking
that's
about, Ted.
yes, and
Yes.
that's good. But again, I look forward to the trail campaign of this horse. I mean, I have high hopes, and I hope I'm not. I won't say disappointed, but I just hope that it all falls into place. I mean, I do
Well,
have quite a few 2-year-olds that didn't make it to the races that are open. I still have 3 on race 2-year-olds that are open. So you can get on that St. Martin's bus, it it passing your way.
Going a bit direction to
Going
Garrison
to
or to
town,
Sam Lord's
going,
Castle.
we ain't going to the beach. We're going to work.
Or was that's what I asked. If it going to Garrison or you going to Sam Lord's Castle?
We're going to work.
Since we're going to Garrison, they're good to go. Right, but here we're going on though, Mr. Ted. You know what I mean? Knowing that how the system is played, because I'm an idiot about these things. I don't know how the system is set up. You know what I mean? There's been multiple riders, opportunities. There's a race. You know what I mean? When you book a ride on a horse and you find yourself stuck, whether it's his call or agent call or whatever the case is, but he seemingly get a window to ride at one of the brand name stables. You know what I mean? Like S1 deciding, or your horse might be key, but choose to jump on a horse belonging to like Kevin Attar, Mark Cassie. You know what I mean? And then the opportunity arises, or you find yourself rolling dice with several people, because some other trainers told me in the past, well, I consider it, and I said, well, so if something opens up, yes. And many times I see it open up. I'm gonna call up many names because I mean, this is business we're dealing with. You know what I mean? But I know if I saw S1 Flores, then there's many people that would be seeing the show. You know what I mean? And they would know as trainers to know, well, oh yeah, but I told Juan Crawford if somebody can't ride my horse, or another rider have a different call or whatever the case is. Oh yeah, for sure. I'll give you the shot. And along the year, those opportunities came many times down to the end of the meet. You know what I mean? Fernandez is off, and he was named on endless amount of horses, and many of these trainers would have said, well, I'll give you the chance if, you know what I mean, if something comes open. You think it would happen? Not one. I picked up no amount.
I want
One
to
more
ask you,
I picked up for the whole year.
but I want to ask you that one, does that do you remember that? Like, does it stick with you, or do you, it just kind of bypasses when that
No,
happens?
no, to say a stick, no, that'd be an idiot, a fool, to let the thoughts like that they drop on my plate and I choke on it. No, you know what I mean? I don't digest those things, so I remember them. So that's the reason why, because my memory is good on certain aspects of horse racing. To say, well, oh yeah, I remember this episode, but I don't hold those episodes.
Gotcha. I
Just a
gotta ask the
bypass.
I gotta ask the trainer. So so you had a great season, Mr. Holder, and you got a nice 2-year-old. It's gonna turn 3 pretty soon. You're heading to Florida. What's your expectation down there? What's the goal? What's the plan?
I'm going shopping for a couple more horses. I mean, I'm trying to find that solid allowance source. So, I'm do a little bit of shopping either at the sales and visit, or try to claim something at Gulfstream. But I have a few clients that want to get a little better horses. So they've already put things in place. So hopefully the claiming game works in our favor down there, or the sale and phase it in winter. But we're looking. I have a couple stalls open down there and for that. a classic mile. That's where I go. So I have a couple stalls open with him to fill those stalls and fill them and go from there. Other than developing the 2-year-olds, the yearlings turning two. That's a fun part for me, going down there over the winter and working with them, because in March you can see who can be special or not. Some might take a little longer later in the year, but usually by that time you can see who has the attitude to be a good horse.
So so you'll be going there for, I guess, the cold season, and then I guess once Woodbine gets ready to reopen, you'll probably head back here and get going again.
Yeah, usually I'm there for 4 months usually. So races start the 22nd April next year. So I should be back here by April 1st with a full barn. Go from there.
Nice. Well done.
Well, all depends on the stall allocation, but pretty much can full aside and some at this stage. That's wait.
Nice. Well, I know that we touched on a lot of things here, and I want to give you guys equal opportunity to if you have any last words of anything that you want to say or get across. Again, I want to let people know that this platform is just kind of developing just for horse people, just to hear any information. You want to get on the platform and share information, you can do that very easily. You just hit me up and we can make it happen. It's just an open platform so that everyone in the industry can be involved, man. So yeah, so I just want to share that, and for you guys, if you guys want to mention anything, it's coming on to like 2 hours since we started talking, so I don't want to go much longer than that. You know what I mean? So Juan, Mr. Holder, if you guys want to share anything, please go ahead and please do. You're muted
I'll let
again.
you go first.
Well, yeah, that was saying to my fellow Parkinsonians, you know what I mean? I know Mr. Headley, he's a fellow guy from the high end, you know what I mean? Comamerian, you
Come on,
know.
man.
You know, I like to big up everybody, my fellow Comamerian, to my fellow Parkinsonians, but yeah, to all of Barbados and every Bajan, doesn't matter where you were or where you come from at this time, enough respect and love to everyone and to the whole racing community worldwide. Doesn't matter where you're from, gratitude, you know, and more love all to the world, because it's a hard job we have and we got to get it done. It's like, doesn't matter which position you in, but you could be a groom, a hot worker, you know what I mean, a stall marker. These are all levels that I went through. I then just start as a writer from the smallest level, as you could call it, to the highest level, as you could call it. You know what I mean? From the writing part, it is only for me to like enhance, but I enhance him with love. So, Mr. Holder, gratitude for the opportunities I had with you in the past, and the window and the door is open. Don't mind that you want to get windows, but the doors are open for every opportunity. Mr. Headley, it is a honor, you know what I mean, to be on the show with you, and I know you're gonna get lots more forward, and this thing and get bigger. You
I
know what I mean?
appreciate it,
Because
man.
you're after a good thing, and I gonna push it as in that manner. You know what I mean? For us and for everyone associated with more love. You know, God is love. Mr.
Appreciate
Holder,
it, man. Don't leave, right?
respect, right?
Don't leave, Juan. Stay, and I'll talk with you right after. So don't leave the platform. I'll let
Yeah,
Mr.
I'm
Holder
here.
hear what he got to say.
Well, for me, I can say thank you. Should always pay gratitude to the ones who have been there for me over time. I mean,
Appreciate it.
this year would not be possible without the help of many people, from my owners, near and afar, my crew, my family, my friends. I mean, I have a son who got the bug like me, and he's going all out, working with me when need be, purchasing horses with his own money. You know, he's there. He's have my work ethics. He's working a feed truck. He's running 5 horses a day if he can. I mean, the kids out there working hard. You know, I should say thank you to him because he's my biggest supporter. My crew have been there with me all year. I mean, I have my man Eric, who's in Jamaica right now on the beach or rolling a big one, probably. But you know, my man Eric's been with me. If I have a day where I'm short of staff, as long as it's not going to interfere with their home life, I can call up my friend Edna. She's going to be there for me. It's Edna Black. She's going to come
Yep.
along with her 3 kids, and we're going to get through the day. You know, those kind of people, I have to always say thank you and keep them with me because they're solid people to be around. I mean, I got Jason, who if I'm in a pinch, I can call him up and Jason, hey, I need you, I need you in the morning. As long as he doesn't have Miss Zaley with him, he's gonna be there. I mean, those things I always remember and look forward to, and always pay it forward. So again, I'm the kind of guy who's just gonna say thank you to everyone and wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a blessed 2023.
Well,
More
well said,
love.
man. Well said. It's been an awesome
Yeah.
year, guys. I think you guys,
Oh,
I
and I'm
think
still on
many.
top of the cloud from this one.
Oh, that's the double. That's the double.
That's the one
That's the
too.
double.
Yeah, I remember that time I watched that race. Don't
And you
panic.
know what? I dreamt this, and you wouldn't believe it. I dreamt it. I came in the morning, found a quarter, and I said, it's going to happen.
Yeah,
But
angel
being
works.
superstitious, didn't see anything till after the race.
Yeah,
Woke
the
up in the morning
angel.
about 2:30, and I dreamt I'd won the race, 1-2. And just
Wow.
like that, Jago was on the inside. And it was like, wow.
I know I know we're about to end it here, but I want to ask you something because they're gonna seem to be a special horse for you, man. Like you talk about this horse like it's part of the family.
Well, I've had him since 2018. I mean, this is a horse that I had to give a year off. I had to leave him in Ocala on the farm for 18 months. He didn't
That's a
race
long
from
time.
March
Jacob's fire.
2019 until the first COVID year, August, September. He was off all that time. He was in the paddock running around for over a year.
Wow.
So that
Well, I
helped
guess you
him.
guys came a long way. Go ahead, one.
No. Tell him that
He's
helped
also the
Jago. You know what I
he's
mean?
also the horse that made me decide I will not ride another racehorse in my life.
You see it?
Oh man. Hey,
Yeah, but
listen, man.
it's just lots of gratitude. You know what I mean? That we gotta give. I give like it's just enough respect and love to like when where races is concerned. Like, I would say one of my biggest backbones, as simple as it is. My wife is like I don't think there's nobody that is she kind of like my Bill Marshall. You know what I mean? Like just that constant wheel grinding away. Like well, you gotta go. Well, don't worry about that. And she'd be like, why? Like, she's my biggest why. Why does people treat you like this? Well, why this year should be like this? Why this rule don't work for those guys? And I'm like, because that's the way it is, you know. And all of them like, well, I just gotta keep riding, and don't worry, things might change. years ago, years went by, and she was like, I see no change. And you told me 10 years down the road, oh yeah, well, they said 5 years. You work 5 years hard, you'll get into Woodbine. Oh, well, but this has been over 10 years and I'm not seeing it. I'm like, well, I guess I just got to work harder than the other ones then, you
I gotta
know?
tell you though, behind every good man, there's a good woman. And let me tell
Yeah,
you, there's one thing we all know that women will do is ask you a lot of questions. So those
yeah,
worries,
well,
those worries,
my wife, she will go out to battle with me. Like, that lady, she's a different, you know what I mean? Similar to my mom. My mom would be all out war for me. My wife, same thing, all out war for me. Like, and we grew up together, me and my wife. This is like from 2002 we first met, and we've been grinding this thing out no matter what. I think the worst parts of my writing career, she was there toe to toe. Resources wise, she was willing to fight. There was no resources, she's still willing to fight, and she was there from then. We built a household together. You know what I mean? That lady is a different kind of lady. Amount of drama and propaganda that, you know what I mean, we came through the years with, you know what I mean, this body trying to just like pull you down and or discriminate and these things, and never like switch right. And I saw many households ruined for not having enough meals, got ruined. You know what I mean? Went through several marriages or relationships or whatever the case is, homes get destroyed and destruct, and it's all because they then I would say enough times the relationship they started on was not for the right mindset. But that lady, uh, enough respect. I gotta give her the respect. You know what I mean? The women in my life, I gotta give full respect to. You know what I mean? There's people in my life that need our full respect, and none of these things can be happening without the creator. So to the creator is always full respect. Like Ted, I give gratitude for the opportunities that I didn't had all of the opportunities. You know what I mean? Like, if there's anyone born that I get every opportunity, I would say Bev Chubb, you know what I mean, or Big Boy Racing Stable. Those are the barns that give me whatever they had. Those are the two barns that give me everything or invested in me. Besides Barbados, which would have been Lord Michael Taylor. He improved his stock, improved everything down till I can even he realized, well, shucks, but there's better horses out there for, than his horses. So you know what he did? He went out there petitioning. He went picketing, becoming my agent, although I on the contract, and he went hustling the best horses on the grounds. So I end up riding Zook and all of these other horses in Barbados. You know what I mean? The best horses on the grounds I rode, and that was through him deciding. But you use the best rider, so you should be on the best.
real talk.
Use the best, yeah, real reality. You know, like Andrew Bishop, my fellow Barbadians, Scants, and the whole of St. Martin and Harlington, Four Roads. These are the people that when it was down could uplift me or continue my stability. That if it was broke, there's not a portion, and you saw that traveling to Barbados, that
I
I
did.
don't even need money in Barbados. It doesn't matter where I went in Barbados. I can say I needed.
I see the
Because
love though.
I don't, as a guy
Found the
that don't
love.
deal in the wants, right? I need, my family need. And more time I don't even have to even say, because things come into my place. Oh, well, I harvest today. I have these vegetables. I have these fruits. And that is the relationship you build, right? Amongst the people. So, and that was what I can say to Barbados and my Barbadians. Enough love. You know what I mean? When it's
One.
enough love, down to Woodbine and some Prescott and everybody. Enough love. You know, my whole of Woodburn and them is people that I didn't have to say that I needed. They would ask me if I wanted. And they say, you know, I don't want. But if I need, I tell you, you know, and them is the people that they deal with the needs and the necessities, that these are the people that we need in our lives. The people that are willing to make sure your necessities made and your needs, you know, we's a family. You know what I mean? Don't matter we get out there on the battlefield, you know, when they get on Bev Chub Horse and Ted Holder playing, he putting up H1. Don't think that I gonna ease you and that last 16 or and the last 3 strays that hold up, boy, you're gonna get a
Ted,
nose
you
today.
you got any finishing words you want to say here, man? Or you said it all already?
I said it all. I just know he got no. Listen, catch the bus or miss it. Last
Boss
buses
man,
leave
you know
at
how much
12.
times I run from you know how much times I run from the jog from the Garrison to St. Martin's or Four Rose or get on my bicycle and ride because I was not scared to do the journey.
We both
Look
done that,
behind you and
boss.
look behind me.
We both done that.
Right, look
Listen,
behind you and look behind me and you want to see.
we're gonna catch up again. I'm looking forward to doing this another time. Again, the platform is open. Anybody want to reach out to me and jump on here and share some stories or share information, please go ahead. But in the meantime, I want to thank both of you for doing this and
Yes.
for
Thank you,
sharing
Mr.
your time.
Ted. You done
I want to thank your
respect,
wives
right?
and thank your people for allowing me to sit here and question you about stuff that you really didn't need to share. But I really appreciate it, man. It's going to be
Yeah.
helpful to many people along the way. I'm really sure about that. Um, so please, I want to share this. Someone else live entries are open. Okay, cool. Um, so guys, stay on the line. Don't leave and we'll talk for a minute or two before we go. All right. So thanks again, guys. Thanks everyone for watching.